Hello Dub Nation, it's always a thrill to connect with you, especially as we're about to reveal the latest news that could shape the fate of our beloved Golden State Warriors. But before we dive into this whirlwind of information, let me make a friendly request. Show us some love by clicking the like button to strengthen our bond, and hey, if you are not subscribed yet, join our channel for a thrilling and emotional journey. Don't forget to turn on notifications to stay ahead of the game. Golden State Warriors veteran duo among league's highest paid players. The Golden State Warriors may boast the highest payroll in the NBA, but the franchise is struggling to simply make it to the playoffs as they sit in the 10th spot in the Western Conference, with 7 games remaining in the regular season. The math doesn't add up. This is a front office so financially committed to winning like never before in league history. That can only mean one thing: some players are underperforming compared to their contract's expectations. The Golden State Warriors duo, Klay Thompson and Chris Paul, have been listed as 2 of the highest paid players in the NBA this season. The Warriors are paying 5 players over $20 million this season, with Stephen Curry leading the list at $51.9 million. While the 2-time MVP continues to justify his hefty contract, the same cannot be said for 2 of his veteran teammates. Klay Thompson's form early in the season was discouraging, to the point where he was demoted to the bench, far from ideal for a player earning $43.2 million in 2023-24. In a recent ranking by Frank Urbina of Hoops Hype, the 34-year-old was considered the second most overpaid player in the league based on salary impact versus actual value. According to Real Value, Thompson's production was worth $17.0 million, while he was actually owed $43.2 million, a negative disparity of $26.2 million. While Thompson's production has been disappointing this season, Chris Paul's impact on the Warriors has arguably been better than what the franchise could have expected when they traded for the 38-year-old player last June. When Golden State accepted Paul's $30.8 million deal, the idea of a backup point guard role always meant the contract was a bit overpaid. Much of the business decision ultimately came down to paying Paul for 1 season rather than the 4-year, over $120 million contract they had previously committed to Jordan Poole. Even though it's not a major surprise, Paul ranked 4th on the overpaid list, averaging a career-low points, 9.2, while seeing a steep decline in assists per game. Real Value assesses that production at around $8.5 million when, in reality, Paul is earning $30.8 million in 2023-24 for an overpayment of $22.3 million from the Warriors. Fortunately for the Warriors, both Thompson and Paul will likely see heavily reduced salaries next season, if they're even with the team. Thompson and the franchise have yet to reach an agreement on an extension, meaning the 5-time All-Star is poised to enter free agency. Paul, on the other hand, has a $30 million team option that Golden State is unlikely to pick up. ChatGPT. Business Review: Warriors fail to maximize full value in controversial 4-team trade. Less than 2 years ago, the Golden State Warriors clinched an NBA championship, but now they are on the verge of missing out on the playoffs entirely after a disappointing 23-24 season. Given that much of the core remains intact from that championship team, where exactly did things go wrong for the franchise? The simple answer is to point out that the players have regressed. Veterans like Klay Thompson and Draymond Green are not the same as they once were, and perhaps more surprisingly, Andrew Wiggins and Kevin Looney are also in that boat, despite still being in their 20s. Another player who isn't having the same impact is Gary Payton II, the defensive guard who left the Warriors only to return via trade just over 6 months later. Did the Golden State Warriors make the right decision by trading James Wiseman for Gary Payton II at last season's trade deadline? Golden State traded away their former number 2 pick, James Wiseman, in a 4-team deal at last February's deadline, with the franchise reacquiring Payton after he played just 15 games for the Portland Trail Blazers. The deal was shrouded in controversy due to how Portland handled Payton's injury, but the Warriors chose to complete it instead of vetoing it. Letting go of Wiseman turned out to be the right decision, but could the franchise have gotten more out of the trade? When Golden State reacquired Payton, many expected the team to sign the same player from the championship season of 2021-22. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, with injury issues hindering the 31-year-old from providing a similar impact level. Golden State Warriors vs Orlando Magic / Mike Ehrman / Getty Images. Payton may still have his moments of defensive brilliance, but his numbers are still far below what he produced 2 seasons ago. He's playing about 2 minutes less per game, leading to a drop in scoring, 7.1 to 5.1, and rebounds, 3.5 to 2.6. Payton's value has always resided in his defensive ability, but that has also seen a subtle yet significant decline. His steals per game have decreased from 1.4 to 0.9, while more advanced metrics like defensive win shares, 2.6 to 0.8, and defensive box plus minus, 3.4 to 2.4, have also decreased. After playing 71 regular season games in the 2021-22 season, Payton has played just over half, 39, of Golden State's 74 games this season. While he remains a fan favorite and is still capable of defensive brilliance, Payton likely hasn't lived up to what the franchise hoped for when the trade was made. Players like Wiggins, Thompson, and Looney may be making headlines for a dip in form this season, but Payton is another whose decline from 2 seasons ago has been attributed to the Warriors' current position. Assuming he picks up his $9.1 million player option for next season, Payton will still have the opportunity to repay the faith the franchise showed in him nearly 14 months ago. ChatGPT. Steve Kerr of the Warriors provides cryptic insights on Jonathan Kuminga as a starter before his return from injury. Jonathan Kuminga has missed the Golden State Warriors' last 4 games due to a knee injury, and with him set to return on Thursday for a crucial game against the Houston Rockets, coach Steve Kerr faces an interesting decision whether to start Kuminga or bring him off the bench as the Warriors enter the matchup with a 4-game winning streak. Whether he starts or not is up in the air, said Steve Kerr via 95.7 The Game. We'll see how we come together as a team. We've won 4 straight starting Tracy Jackson-Davis with Draymond at the frontcourt. In the past, the way I've handled things, if our team is playing well, I usually stick with the same group. Fortunately for the Warriors, this isn't as critical a game as it seemed a few days or weeks ago. The Rockets have come dangerously close to the last spot in the NBA play-in tournament, which the Golden State currently holds in 10th place in the Western Conference. Now, the Warriors are 3 games ahead of the Rockets in the last spot. The Warriors' 4 recent victories came against the Orlando Magic, Charlotte Hornets, San Antonio Spurs, and Dallas Mavericks. So, while Golden State has found success with Tracy Jackson-Davis paired with Draymond as a starter, as Kerr mentioned, 3 of the 4 wins were against teams at the bottom of the NBA standings. The Mavericks game was a good win, though. Nevertheless, Kuminga's return should be a boost for the Warriors. He could be a much-needed presence off the bench with that unit, and he could still play a good amount of minutes in that role as well. Warriors aim to secure a spot in the NBA play-in tournament. A win against the Rockets would take a lot of pressure off the Warriors in the final 6 games of the season. Golden State would be 4 games up with 6 to play, needing only to avoid a complete collapse down the stretch to secure a play-in tournament berth. After the Rockets game, the Warriors face the Mavericks again, Utah Jazz, Los Angeles Lakers, Portland Trail Blazers, New Orleans Pelicans, and Jazz to close out the regular season. On paper, some of these matchups may seem tough. However, with some teams possibly clinching playoff spots soon, opponents like the Mavericks or Pelicans might rest players in these games. Even if they don't, the games will be more significant for the Warriors. The priority for other teams will be ensuring they are healthy for the start of the playoffs, not necessarily going all out to win these games.